Well, good morning to each and every one of you. Appreciate your attendance very much. Appreciate those who made their plans to be with us here this morning. Even though you may have seen me on the schedule, you still made it out, and I appreciate that very much. It's a commitment on your part. How about we say that? I have been thinking about preaching this lesson for, a lot of years. I started the Armor of God series years ago, and then we moved away, and I never completed it. So that would make you think that this is going to be really good, because I've had a lot of time to prepare, and hopefully it is. So you can tell me afterwards whether you think it was or not. But imagine with me for a minute going back to the days of the Roman Empire, back to the days when guys like this used to walk the streets and enforce the rule of Rome. Imagine yourself as one of these soldiers, and you find yourself in some backwater outpost of the Roman Empire, a place that to you is not home. It's not your true home, it's just a place that you've been stationed. It's not the place that you truly long to be. You don't want to be there, you want to be back at your home. But today, as you leave your post and you go out into the world, it's a day like any other. For a Roman soldier, every day was pretty much the same. From the moment that you leave your barracks, your life is in danger. Ruling with an iron fist has earned the Roman emperor and Rome as a whole many enemies. And you, as the face point of the Roman Empire, take the brunt of that many times and the burden that comes with that rule. The weapons of war are your daily accessories. They're the tools that you use on a day in and day out basis. Violence is nothing foreign to you. Before you leave the barracks, you'll make sure to have some things with you. You're going to put your armor on. You're going to make sure you put on your helmet and sandals and your body armor. You'll strap your sword to your side, maybe grab your spear. But the last thing you'll grab before you exit that door is your shield, and you're going to make sure that that's with you. It's heavy and it's awkward at times. Sometimes it weighs you down when you would rather not have that encumbrance. However, when you need that shield, nothing else will do. There's no other tool in your arsenal that will do what that shield can do. You will carry the burden of your shield as you go through your day because you know it's not a burden at all. It's not truly a burden. You'll carry it because it might mean the difference between life and death for you. It's not a burden to carry that shield, it's an honor to carry that shield. And while this might be an example from many years ago, it was an example that the first century Christians understood. They understood what that was like. They walked through streets where people like this were. This was something that they were in tune to, and they understood the concept behind this scripture. As we find ourselves today living in a world that is turning from God, we also find ourselves in a world where it's a battle. It's a battle every day to be a Christian in this world that we live in today. Each day that we go out, it's very much the same. We go out into a world full of sin, a world that is not our home. It's not a place we truly long to be. We truly long to be by our Savior's side in heaven. We truly desire, or we should desire, to be at the throne, at the feet of God, worshiping Him. But we find ourselves here. And while this place has many joys, it is definitely not our home. When we leave our doors, we better have that armor on. We better be protected. We better be prepared for battle. And honestly, I can say many times when I leave my door, I feel myself unprepared for the battle that's before me. Do we feel like it's an honor to carry the shield of faith that we've been given, or is it a burden? Do we appreciate the spiritual weapons that we've got, or do we take them for granted? We've been given direction to take up our shield of faith, and as I said, it was a concept that they were familiar with, and it was something I think that through time it should still resonate with us today. And we'll read again our verse that we read this morning. Ephesians chapter 6, starting in verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with the truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Just as that armor that those Roman soldiers put on tied them together, it made them a cohesive unit, something that stood out different from the rest of the world. It's something the shield of faith should do for us. It should tie each and every one of us together and bring us together into that cohesive unit. We should leave this place every time speaking the same words, doing the same things. They fought together as a unit. They would even train themselves, if they were left-handed, to fight right-handed, so they could all go forth and do the exact same things, and we should do the same thing. The ties that we have here are deeper than those that are right here with us. They're ties that extend through the ages to those that came before us and to those that will come after us. Our shield of faith is something that links us through the ages. We've been given it for a reason, and we should study it. And as you know, I'm sorry, David, I am a showman. I'm sorry. I have to have something. I am a visual learner. And so I have to have things to see. It's one of those things that I do. And I don't like, I'm not a showman. I just like for this to be covered while we have communion and those kinds of things. I feel like there's less distraction. But, of course, I had to make a shield. I don't think I had to, but, I mean, Kara knew I had to. And you guys knew I had to, too. And for me, this was a 2-day build, so I was really proud of my efforts after a 2-day build. I had very little time to get it done. I told Mike when I was getting ready, I felt like I had my hair on fire for the last couple of weeks. So, and I think maybe that's good. I think if there's anybody needs anything, just pile it on my plate. I get more done the more stuff I have on my plate. So, but anyway. So I had to build a shield, and of course we've got the breastplate and the sword. If you can't see it, sorry. And then the other pieces of armor there. But had to have something. I'm hopeful that this is something that helps resonate with you. And as you leave this place, maybe this will be something that you think about this week. And if I only accomplish that, maybe I've done well this morning. But the shield was a very important part of their armor. It gave them defense against attack. So the shield wasn't something that was just like an ancillary thought. It was definitely something that was part of their armor. Every piece of body armor a weakness could be found in it. There was no body armor that was completely immune or impervious to any attack. So the shield provided that extra bit of protection that maybe armor alone, their chest armor alone, might protect them from. And it also complemented the other pieces of armor. So when there was a weakness in one thing, that they could rely on other parts of it. They all worked together. There was no one part that was more critical than another. They needed the whole thing to become effective. And you can see this gentleman here has been in a battle, and there's many tales of these things happening where they were in a battle and they would walk away with up to 100 arrows lodged in their shield. It was something that they could provide for their own defense with. The shield also could be used as an offensive weapon as well. And so, they would build it in a very specific way, and it should hold up, I think. I don't think I'm going to. I'm sorry, did I hit black screen? Can someone get my PowerPoint back? I really went too far. Man, goodness, I went way too far. And see, now now I just ruined it all. So you get to see all my PowerPoint. Guess learn how to do this and this at the same time. I'm not learning how to fight right-handed, am I? But the shield was designed in a very specific way. And this actually is a pretty close, I mean, it's not exactly, please don't fire an arrow at me. But it's a pretty close to the way they would have built it. It would have been multi-layered as this one is. It would have had metal on the edges. And in the center part here as well, instead of this 3D printed piece of plastic, you'll enjoy that. I had to add some 3D printed parts to it because I'm a nerd. It was an offensive weapon as well. So when you had your shield and sword, you had an offensive weapon with your sword. But you also had an offensive weapon with your shield. So the shield was not just defense, but there were times when you would be in so close to your opponent that you needed something else. Maybe you had an opponent here and you were fighting an opponent here. You needed to be able to batter away an opponent. And so that's what actually it was designed to do. There was metal edges on it for battering so they could kind of hit an opponent with the edges, or the center was also metal as well, and it was designed for battering so they could actually take the offensive when they needed to with their shield. When they had a sword in their hand, they could also have something else on their other side that they could protect themselves with. So it wasn't just a defensive weapon, it was an offensive weapon as well. And I'll try to bring it over on this side too. I'm sorry. Why do I always set up over here? I need to set up over here sometime. I need to share the love, I guess. So I'll try to do that next time. Kara's saying no more armor, please. But it was also a deterrent. The shield that they carried was a deterrent. Let me tell you, if you walk down the street and you saw a line of the guys carrying this and a sword in their hand, walking down the street, you thought twice about defying Rome. There was no doubt about it. You never would even maybe broach the subject of defying them. It was a deterrent against some of the attacks that might have ever even come against them. So there was a way to even just, even the design on it was designed to shock and give that sense of, domination so that maybe sometimes those attacks never would even become about. It also gave them courage. As a soldier, it would be very unlikely for you to want to get out and defend your country naked, without anything on. With no armor on, it would be very hard to ask someone to go out and defend what might not even be a very popular opinion. But with a shield at their side and with their armor on, they had great courage. They had the ability to go out and know that I'm better protected than anyone that might come against me. Rome spent great amounts of money perfecting the armor that they had at the time. And for the time, they were some of the most well-protected soldiers that were on the field. And when things got tough, when things, when they were discouraged, when the battle wasn't going their way, they had a shield. They had the ability to get behind this shield and protect themselves. They had that ability to have the courage that this would bring for them. Well, for us, the shield that we have is not a physical item. It's not something that you can reach and grab. We can't carry it and touch it. We can't feel its comforting presence on our hand. It's not something that we physically feel, but it is no less real than the shield that they carried. Someone might not be able to look at us and say, well, that person's carrying their shield today. Because we don't have that physical thing to carry. But Satan knows, and that's what's important. Does Satan know that we're carrying our shield on a day-to-day basis? Our shield gives us a defense just like it gave those soldiers a defense. And we're in a battle, as I said. Take a look around. Take a look at the world that we live in. We live in a world that is consumed with sin. We live in a world that is basically so far turned from God that I don't recognize it many, many times when I go out into the world. When I go out and work, I see a world that is so changed from my youth, I don't recognize it. And I'm sure that if this world goes on, I'm sure there'll be people that will be standing here from years behind me that will probably say the same thing if the world continues to spin. But I think we find ourselves at a real crossroads in this world. We feel like we find ourselves in a true battle. But the shield that we have can protect us in this battle. There's many that have come before us that have faced things that are way worse than what we'll face. They have faced the threat of death. People have died for their beliefs and their convictions. But the thing is they still carried the shield, even knowing they faced those trials. They faced those things. They were willing and glad to carry it. They were emboldened by that shield. The things that we face are much less permanent. They're temporary, but a short time. Maybe it's ridicule, or maybe it's exclusion from this group or that, or this group of friends or that group of friends. Those are trivial things. They're not, things that are long-term. They still affect us, but they aren't the things that I think that we're supposed to be worried about necessarily, because those things are going to happen. If we're different from the world, those things are going to happen. The threats that we face are the ones that I see are more long-term consequences, and those are the changes that we see all around us, the changes to the culture that we see around us. We've changed to a culture that doesn't put God first in anything. We see changes to our freedom to worship. We see changes to stand for what is right. We see changes to our abilities to say the things that someone else may not want to hear, but know they may be the truth nonetheless. These are the things that I see that we face. These are the threats that we and our children will face. And without a shield of faith and without that strong defense, how will we face these trials? How will we face a society that says, not God first, God last? Our shields can certainly be used on the offensive as well. There are times when we must go on the offense, just like they had to do. Now, we're not bludgeoning someone with our shield. We're not beating someone over the head with it. But there's times when we need to take the fight to Satan. There's times to be on the defensive, and there's times to be on the offensive. And we need a strong shield to do that with. We can still show the love of God while being on the offense, though. We can still show that love while taking the fight to Satan. And our shield will help us in this. It's also a deterrent for us. The shield of faith is something that can deter attacks at times. Satan is trying. He's trying every day to find your weak spot. He's trying every day to find my weak spot. But when he looks at us and he sees us set apart and different from the rest of the world, how many times do you think he's going to hurl a dart when they don't find their mark? Every time when he hurls a dart at us and we bring up our shield of faith in a defensive posture and we block that attack, how many attacks do you think he will keep doing? He's going to keep trying. But will he focus on us? Will we be the sole focus of his attention that day if we get behind our shield of faith and have that strong defense that we have? There are many times when we could bring forth that shield of faith and deter some of those attacks. And it can also give us courage like it gave the soldiers back then. It can be hard to live a Christian life in the world today. It can seem like no one cares about God and we're on an island alone. But when you feel that way, remember how many people carried that shield of faith before you. Countless people carried that shield of faith before you carried it. And hopefully more will carry that shield behind us. We are linked to something bigger than ourselves. And that shield of faith ties us to those people, ties us through time to the people all the way back to the first century, all the way back to when people first started believing in Christ. We are tied together through that shield of faith. We are bonded with it. We are a unified group because of our shield of faith. As I said, I see an all-out attack on faith in the society we live in. I see people questioning their faith, questioning whether they want to even believe in God in the first place. I see people of faith struggling with questions of why. Why, God? Why did this happen? Why did such and such happen to me? Why couldn't that happen to someone else? Or why did I have this happen? There was someone so much worse that could have happened to. Why me? Well, Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1 says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Faith is not something that we can always put our finger on. We're not always going to have the answers to the whys. The world is looking for their answers of why this or why that. There's many times that we don't have the answer, and that's okay. It's okay to not have the answer to every question that we have. As a person in science, I want to know how everything works. I want to know the intimate details of every part of our bodies and how everything interacts with itself. I want to know all those whys. I search for them. I read articles about it. I try to stay up on the latest and greatest information. But at the end of it, there are some times that we don't know. And we go, well, I just don't know. Why is this happening to me physically? I just don't know, is sometimes the answer. And that's okay too. It's okay sometimes to not know the answers to everything. That's where faith comes in. If we knew the answer to everything, if we knew how everything was supposed to be perfectly, there would be no need for faith. If we had every answer at our beck and call, where would faith come into play? We might not know the question to every answer to every question of why, but that's okay. When you feel discouraged, when you feel like the world is getting you down, remember that you have faith and say, that's enough for me. It's enough for me to have faith and for me to believe. The shield had to be used the right way as well for the Roman soldier. Of course, it had to be visible to their foes. It was pointless to leave it behind in the barracks or have it strapped to their back or something like that. It would be a pointless use for it. It'd be pointless for me to have this facing the wrong direction if I'm out in a battle and I've got this around here and I'm like, where is the enemy? I've got to have this faced forward. I've got to have this pointed towards my foe or it's going to do me absolutely no good. Our shield has to be visible as well. Our shield has to be something that we show forth at all times. It isn't something that we can leave behind at any point. We can't leave our doors and go, did I bring my faith with me today, or did I leave that back at home? It can't be that when the attack comes and when the arrow comes and finds its mark and we see it like right here, we go, you know what, hold on a second, I'll be back. Hold that thought for just a second. Let me get my shield. I left it back here, but I'll be ready in a minute. We can't do that. We have to be ready at all times. We have to have it ready and pointed towards our foe and ready to go. No one can see your shield. No one can see your shield of faith. But in so many ways, we can show it to the world. This doesn't mean we get a big sign that says, I have faith. Look at me. I have faith. That's not what we do. But people will know by what we do whether we have faith or not. Let me ask you some questions. Do you laugh at the off-color jokes that maybe someone tells? Do you participate in those? Sometimes. Do you go to the areas that maybe you shouldn't be in? Do you maybe go to the bar even though you shouldn't be there, even though all your coworkers are going, and if I don't go, I'll be excluded, and maybe I'll go. I'll go, but I'm not going to participate, but I'll go. Do you do that? Do you maybe find yourself in some places that maybe you shouldn't be? Do you use the same kind of language that the rest of the world uses? When that car cuts you off, what's the response? Occasionally, right? We all have our weaknesses, right? We occasionally do those things. We slip up and we fail. But when we have a shield of faith, we can go back to it. We can rely on it. When things are tough, when we do find ourselves tempted, we can have that shield of faith. And by our deeds, we'll be known. James chapter 2, starting in verse 14. What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith and have not works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, Depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding ye give them not those things which are needful to the body, what doth it profit? Even so faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone. Yea, a man may say, Thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. Thou believest that there is one God, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered Isaac his son upon the altar? Seest thou how faith wrought with his works, and by works was faith made perfect? By our deeds will be known. You can say all day that you have faith, but at the end, if our works don't prove it, if we aren't doing the work of faith, no one's ever going to know it. If we don't act like we have a shield, if we don't act like we're carrying it, no one's ever going to know. If we act like the rest of the world, we'll just be part of the rest of the world. And as I said earlier, the most important thing is whether Satan knows whether we're carrying our shield or not. 1 Peter chapter 5, starting in verse 8, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Whom resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. But the God of all grace, who hath called us unto his eternal glory by Christ Jesus, after that ye have suffered a while, make you perfect, establish, strengthen, settle you. We have an adversary who is walking about ready to not just attack us, but devour us, to consume us, to bring us to utter destruction. And we need something to protect ourselves against that. And when we have our shield of faith, we can do that. We better be prepared because he is ready for us. There are things that are going to happen to us, as it says in verse 9. The same afflictions that happen in the world are going to happen to each and every one of us. There is no protection. Just because you have the shield of faith, it doesn't mean that the attacks won't come. It doesn't mean that Satan won't attack you. It means that you have a place to go when he does attack you. When he does come for you, when he does try to devour you, you have a defense against it. You have a tool. You have an ability to do that. And parents, we have to be prepared. Whether you are raising your children or your grandchildren, we have to be prepared for our kids. We have to show them our shield of faith right now, today, and every day after this. We have to show them our shield of faith so that they know that we have them protected. We have to show them our shield of faith until they can carry their shield of faith. There's time for them to carry their own shield, and there's a time for them to be defended by our shield. And the world is trying to consume our children. The world is trying to take our children from us and change them to the ways of this world. That is an unrelenting attack right there. Parents, we are faced with attacks every day. Are you shielding your children? We can't shield them from everything for the rest of their lives. I would love to. I would love to have a shield strong enough and sure enough that I could protect my children for the rest of their lives and not have to worry about it. But I know at some point, I'm going to have to let them go out from underneath my shield. I'm going to release them into a world consumed with sin. I'm going to release them into a world of darkness, and they need to be able to stand. This child's not able to stand right now, not able to take on those attacks, and is not going to be able, wouldn't be able to hold up that shield in this time. But someday, if we're strong and we show them what a strong and sure shield can do, they'll be strengthened little bit by little bit. They will be encouraged. They will be strengthened. They will build up that faith that they need so that when it's their time, they can step out from underneath our shield and have a strong and sure defense. But we have to show our shield right now. We have to show our faith to our children in so many different ways. A shield was the perfect piece of armor for the job that it did. And actually, it's kind of interesting, for the many thousands and thousands of shields that the Roman Empire had, there's exactly one that still remains. One, that's it. It's in a museum of antiquities, and it's actually, the center part's has fallen off of it, and they've lost it. But that is actually a still surviving shield from the Roman Empire. I thought that was kind of interesting. But the shield was called the scutum. I'm not a Roman expert, so if my Latin is not correct, Jonathan or somebody else can correct me afterwards. But the scutum was the shield that they would have carried, and it was perfectly designed for the task that it had. It was roughly about 22 pounds of weight, which imagine kind of carrying that every day if you can. If you can imagine carrying that on your arm. And they had a couple of straps, but mostly they were just carrying it by that handle. It was made of wood and canvas and leather and some iron on there. And it was specifically designed to protect them in combat from the common threats that they would face. There were certainly attacks that could get through a shield, but the shield was designed to be for the most common attacks that they might face on the battlefield. It wasn't so heavy that it couldn't be carried, but it was heavy enough to be able to stop the attacks. Well, the shield of faith that we've been given was designed specifically as well. It was designed with a specific task in mind. It's designed to stop the most common attacks that we'll face. Just like this shield was curved, the curve was designed to deflect away the attacks. Our shield of faith can deflect our attacks as well. And it can also stop those direct attacks. Many in this world as we look around, they succumb to the things that we look at and we go, well, how did that happen? How did they fall for that? How did that happen? We look at a world and we see people with, they're walking around and they've got a chest stick, they've got an arrow sticking out of their chest, and they're walking around through life still walking and talking, and we're like, did you notice that you're mortally wounded? Did you notice you got, Satan found his mark? But they're just, oblivious to that, oblivious to the fact that they're, a walking pincushion. We can become numb in this world. I know a lot of people that I see, I feel like they've just become numb to the attacks. They're so used to it that they're just like, it's just any old day. Something that would pierce us, that would hurt us, they look at it and they go, it's just another day. I hearken back to, Monty Python. I'm a Monty Python nerd. And I think about the Black Knight standing before the bridge with his sword, and the king chops off both of his arms, and he's standing there bleeding from both of his arms, and he says, I've chopped off your arms. What are you doing? Why are you still fighting? And he says, no, you didn't. It's just a flesh wound. It's fine. I'm just fine. That's the way this world is. They've got their arms chopped off. Satan has riddled them full of arrows, and they're just like, well, it's just any old day. Why is that? Well, they don't have a shield of faith. Their shield of faith isn't up. Without our shield of faith, we can really lose our sense of purpose in this life. We have a purpose. We were created with a purpose. We were created with a purpose of spreading God's word and obeying his will. And we, without that shield of faith, can really lose track of where we're at and lose our sense of direction and become numb to the attacks that we each face without that shield. We can lose that moral compass that guides us home every time. Our shield also protects us against those direct attacks. If we're, showing forth our shield boldly, oftentimes, those attacks from Satan, that might hit us and that might come at us, they can be redirected. They can be blown up, they can be knocked off to the side so that they don't become a mortal wound. They don't pierce through to our soul and drag us away eternally. With faith, we can stand oftentimes when others, they might just fall. So it's critically important that we have it. Also, our shield is not too heavy. Many times in this world, people look at it as it's just too hard to bear, that shield. It's too hard to bear the shield of faith. When the truth is, the shield of faith is custom fit for each person who picks it up. There's not a single person that doesn't have a shield of faith fit directly to them. God has promised He'll never give us a load that we can't bear, something more than we can do. Matthew chapter 11, starting in verse 18. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me. For I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall have rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. You'll notice He didn't say there is no burden. He didn't say there is no yoke. He said there's a yoke, but it's easy. It's designed for you. You can carry it. I won't give you a yoke that's harder and heavier than you can carry. He's never going to give us a burden that's harder than we can endure. He didn't say there'll be no burden. He didn't say, I'll make sure that nothing ever happens to you. Everything's going to be perfect for you. When you pick up your shield of faith, well, boy, that's it. From that point on, you are dead set. You are fine. Nothing's ever going to come your way. Everything's going to be perfect. It's going to be like, Christmas morning every day. That's not what He says. He says there's going to be burdens. There are some burdens, but they are light. He makes sure of that. And one of the ways He helps relieve us of some of these burdens is that He has helped to design a shield that's designed to interweave with each other. And that's the most important part that I want to stress of today. We have a shield that's designed to work together. Not just our own armor, but with other shields of faith from other Christians. We don't have to carry it alone. We don't have to carry our burdens alone. When I am down, what I need to look at is I need to look out and need to see a sea of shields out there and know that I've got someone that I can work with. And when you're down, you need to be able to look at me and say, I've got someone that I can link my shield with and I will be able to work with and be lifted up. As I said, their shield was designed to overlap. The Romans called it the testudo. Their Latin word for turtle. They would form a shield wall, basically, and then other soldiers would actually interlink their shields. So they would take the shield in their hand, and as I said, they all fought right-handed. So they would all have them in their left hand, and your shield would shield you so that you could fight, but it also shielded the side of your comrade next to you, the person who was right next to you. And then people behind you who weren't on that front line, who weren't at that front, and maybe couldn't bear the burden that would come with being on the front, they started forming around the sides. So now I've got my right side open, but I've got someone behind me, and they're bringing their shield up and around me so that I've got protection. And then, those attacks don't just come from the front and from the sides, but they come from the top too, right? They come from every angle. Those arrows would come arching in and try to find weak spots. So they didn't have to worry about it because they had people from behind them coming up behind and bringing their shields up, making sure they were protected, making sure that they had coverage, making sure that they had someone there to defend those attacks that they couldn't defend for themselves. And the Romans used this tactic to great success. It was a really a strong defense, and it was a defense that many people really couldn't compensate for. They could actually take on foes much larger than themselves, forces that may have been maybe more heavily armored or whatever it might be. They could use these tactics to actually great success. It was also really important because they shared defense amongst themselves. So when they were weak, when someone maybe they'd sprained their ankle, right? I'm not going to put them on the front line here, right? I'm not going to put them where the attack may be heaviest. I'm going to put them in an area of that formation so that they can stand up, so they can have that, they can still defend, they can still be part of the attack, but they don't have to have the strength that maybe someone in the front might have to have. And this built great bonds, because when someone was attacked and maybe they were wounded or something like that, what they would often do is shuffle that formation around on the fly. They would move that formation. So maybe if someone was on the side and got attacked, they would bring that person in to the inside of that formation so they would be protected. So all they'd have to do is carry the shield above them. They wouldn't have those attacks coming at them. They developed this so it would form that bond, and it did. These men would fight and die for each other. They felt such a strong bond to each other that they would not leave people behind. They would not leave the weak behind. They would protect them at all costs. Well, the shield that we've been given was designed to work together as well. This is not something that we have to do on our own. We should have a bond of faith that links us together when times are good, but especially when times are tough. And this brings us so many advantages. When I lock my shield in with yours, I know I've got my direct attack, but what about that attack that's coming from the side or this side or above? When I lock my shield in with yours, when we form that wall, when we get out there on the field and we support each other, do you think these guys are supporting each other? Look at them. There is some definite support going on here. These guys are protecting each other from all attacks. And when we do that, I don't have to worry about those indirect attacks. I don't have to worry about some of those things that maybe before I wouldn't be able to shield myself against. I've got you, and you've got me, or we should. When you're weak, who do you rely on, though? When times get tough, where do you go? Do you go to people in the world? They'll shield you maybe for a second until it gets tough, until the first arrow gets a couple feet away, and then I'm going to tell you, they're going to leave you. They'll leave you behind. They're going to be running. They won't be protecting. They won't be locking up that shield with you. They're going to be at the back of the battlefield, running over the hill, someone trying to go, where are they at? I wondered where they went. So who do we go to? Do we go to our church family? That's where we should go. That's where we should go to get our strength. Galatians chapter 6, starting in verse 1, says, Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. Bear ye one another's burdens. Let me say that again. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. For if a man think himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. When I say, I can do it all on my own, I got this, I can do it all by myself, I'm nothing. I'm nothing by myself. But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. For every man shall bear his own burden. We will bear our burden in the end. In the end, we will stand before God alone and bear the burden of our sin and our shame. But how much do you want to bear? How much do you want to carry in front of the throne? Do you want to carry a lot? Or do you want to carry a little? We have a choice. There's a choice that we can carry a lot before God, or we can carry a little. Because if we lock our shields together, I can guarantee you we'll carry much less before God. When the burden of this world seems too heavy, when the temptations become too much, look to your brothers and sisters in Christ. When we interlock our shields, we form an impenetrable barrier to this world. Any foe that we face will be very sorry to have faced us when we lock our shields together. But alone, I'll tell you, we're vulnerable. We're extremely vulnerable. Together, we're unstoppable. When we build the bonds that comes with locking our shields together, locking our faith together, we'll have something greater than any of those Roman soldiers ever had. Sure, they had a great formation. They could do lots of things physically here in this world, but we can do so much better spiritually than they could ever do physically. We have ties that are bought with a very precious gift of blood. And that gift is something that we each share and we can each participate in together. But when I think about this, I have to ask myself some hard questions. Do I have your back? Do I have your back? Each and every one of you. Am I here for you when times get tough? I kind of look at myself and I go, I'd love to say yes. I would love to say, you know what? You can count on me, buddy. I don't care what happens, I'm going to be. But I realize that I'm weak. And I find myself saying, you know what? My hair's on fire. I've got 26, I'm spinning plates and this plate's about to fall. I'm just too busy. I can't get involved right now. You know what? I don't have a whole lot in common with that person. We see each other at church and, we're brothers and sisters in Christ. But, I just don't, we're not alike, right? I just can't get involved. Or I'm just not comfortable, right? It's a situation that's uncomfortable. That they're dealing with something that, I'm not dealing with, and it's just not comfortable for me to get involved in their life. It's just not my concern. You know what? That's them. That's their life. They need to live their life, and they'll face their battles, and I'll face mine, and I don't ask them to get involved in my life. That's their concern. Any of those sound familiar? There's all ones that I've used. I've used them before. So when I ask myself, do I have your back? I go, maybe I don't. I would love to say yes. But oftentimes I find myself failing in that. But then I ask myself, do you have mine? Does your shield extend beyond yourself? Beyond just protecting you? Or does it protect me as well? When you're weak, do you feel my shield come over you and protect you? When I'm weak, do I see the shadow of your shield coming over me to protect me? Do I? I think that's what God wanted from us. That's what God asked for us to do. He says, bear ye one another's burdens. And the shield of faith guides us to do that. We should bear each other's burdens. When times get tough, when times are great, it's easy to do. But when times get tough, you should each know that we have a place to go and people to go to bear burdens together. A shield had to be picked up to be effective. I guess that goes without saying. And a soldier that was in Rome would have been issued their armor when they were joined up with the military. But they had to choose to pick it up. If they left it in a corner like that shield is, that's exactly where it was going to stay. Carrying the shield came with a bit of burden. It was heavy. It was a bit cumbersome. It might slow you down a little bit. It also came with some risk. As I said, being the face of the Roman Empire, there were many people that were ready to attack, because of that. But it's something that they were glad to have when they had it. They stood out from those that were around them because they carried it, and so that put them at a bit of a risk. Rome was, for some reason, they were really tied to red. I don't know, understand that. That seems to be you think you'd want to blend in like we do today, but they didn't seem to want to do that. They wanted to stand out. So when you stood out, that put them at a bit of a risk because they stood out from the crowd. Well, the shield of faith that we have is not something that we're given. It's not something that we're born with. It's not something that God says, you're going to have faith. It's something that we have to decide to do. We must decide to carry it. We must decide to pick it up. It's not a given that it's going to happen. If we leave our shield in the corner, proverbially, that's exactly where it's going to stay. No one's going to force you to carry it each and every day. No one's going to force me to, get up this week and, go get on a plane and, have somebody do something goofy on the plane and, frustrate the situation and all that kind of stuff. No one's going to say, hey, Brian, make sure you got your shield of faith because you're going to need it this week. It just doesn't happen. I have to decide each and every day to pick that shield of faith up. Carrying the shield by some is seen as a burden. It's seen by some as, antiquated in today's age. It's something that holds you back from doing what you want to do. The shield of faith that we should have is something that, that was okay for other people, but you know what? I want to be my own person. I want to be me. And if I'm got a shield of faith, I can't do that. I can't be who I want to be. It's holding me back from it. Faith is not an encumbrance, though. It is the farthest thing from it. I know we see people living lives where they just do whatever they want to do. And I can guarantee you they're the most miserable of people. A shield of faith that we have is something that guides us in our life. It guides us into who we truly need to be. People serving God, serving something greater than ourselves. When you serve self, that's all that you'll ever do. You'll only ever serve self. When you serve a higher purpose, it's such a much more fulfilling life. If we would carry that shield each and every day, we could live very happy and fulfilled lives. It's not a weight that some people would look at it and go, boy, that's just going to drag me down. I can't let that happen. I got to leave that behind. It's a weight, sure. Sure, it's an encumbrance. Sometimes it's a burden to carry. We weren't promised easy. But when we feel that way, are we using that weight to make us stronger? Or are we using that weight and just using it as an excuse to say, it's just dragging me down, I got to let it go. Can't hold on to it anymore, God. That's it. I got to let it go. Or do we pick it up each and every day and say, today's the day I'm going to carry my shield. I'm going to get a little bit stronger today than I did yesterday. I'm going to carry it today stronger and better than I did yesterday. And tomorrow is going to be better than today. And the day after is going to be better. And the day after. Is that our attitude? Or do we let it burden us down? Carrying our shield should also come with a little risk, as it did for them. As I said, they were kind of the face of the Roman Empire, and they faced a little bit of risk carrying, such a large piece of armor around, kind of pinpointed exactly who they were. And if we carry our shield of faith as we should, it should come with just a little bit of risk. If we're doing the work that we've been given, we're not going to be the most popular person. We're not going to be the person that, is maybe part of the in crowd all the time. If we're standing up for what is right, Satan's going to target us. As I said, he might, with the shield of faith, we can block his attacks, but he's still going to find us. When you have that shield, you put yourself apart from the rest of the world, because there's a world full of people who don't have it, and there's only a few that do. So we set ourselves apart. When we do have an attack from Satan, though, we have that defense. We have that ability to have that shield. So are we standing out? Are we standing out in the crowd, or are we blending in? Do we let everyone know proudly who we are and what we believe in and what we will and will not participate in? Or are we trying to hide that shield a little bit and say, I'm kind of like you two. It's okay. I'm one of you. Well, I'll pull the shield out when it's handy. Joshua chapter 24, verse 15 says, "And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Ammonites in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." Is that what we're saying? Are we willing to stand up and say those things? Are we showing our shield forth to everyone around us, or are we cowering in the back, hoping no one sees? God knows it's not going to be easy. He knows that it's not going to be an easy path. There's going to be times when we succeed, and there's going to be times when we don't succeed. But we've been given encouragement and admonishment in these times. Matthew chapter 5, starting in verse 10. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Ye are the salt of the earth. But if the salt have lost his savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and to give light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Are we glad when others look down on us? Are we glad when we're persecuted? It can be very difficult to feel that way. It can be difficult, knowing that, we may be the only ones in the room carrying that shield of faith. It can be real easy to put that shield behind or leave it in the proverbial corner and not carry it. Or do we rejoice when we face those persecutions? Do we rejoice knowing that the opinion that matters is that of God's and not of man's? Which one do we do? Do we hold forth our shield and let it shine? Do we let people know that we're a Christian and this is who we are and this is what we will and won't do? Or do we hide it and hide our light from a world that needs it so desperately? Well, it's been another brutal day on the streets of whatever backwater outpost we've been stationed in. After a day spent patrolling the streets and the marketplaces, boy, my back is sore. My neck is sore. I'm tired. Physically just drained. I want to go home. I want to go to that place that is my true home, not here. But until that day, I'm sure glad to have the armor that I've been given, because there was lots of attacks today. So tonight, I'm going to spend my time. Tonight, when I get back, I'm not going to get back and just lay back and say, well, tomorrow will be what tomorrow will be, because I've got to be ready for it. I've got to be prepared. So tonight, I'm going to spend my time. I'm going to sharpen my sword. I'm going to clean my armor. I'm going to repair the holes that have been penetrated on my shield of faith. So my shield is going to be prepared for tomorrow. Is this what we do? Will this be us? Do we just toss our armor into the side and say, well, it'll be there when I need it? Or do we care for it lovingly and tenderly, making sure it's ready for another fight when the time comes? Are we sharpening our sword and preparing our shield? If not, don't be too surprised when that arrow finds its mark. We can't be too surprised whenever we don't do what we should be doing. Those fiery darts are out there everywhere. Satan has made sure of it. Are we using the tools that we have at our disposal? Or do we just keep asking God for help? Do we just say, God, would you help me? I'm just struggling so bad here. God's looking down saying, I gave you tools. I gave you the ability. Use them. There's nothing wrong with praying to God for help. But there's sometimes when we got to listen to what He's given us. Sometimes He's already told us the answer, and we need to listen. He's given us a great gift in the gift of faith and the shield that we carry. He didn't force it on us, but He did pick us. If you pick up a shield and you carry it, He chose you. He chose you to serve Him. Will you choose to serve Him? That's the question. Hopefully this has been beneficial to you. I know it was helpful for me to study these things again. Hopefully it was something that would stir up your thoughts about this. Don't be too surprised when maybe I give the rest of the lessons again. I'll revamp them a little bit. But hopefully it's been something it's beneficial to you. And as I said, the shield of faith is not something that you're born with. It's not something that just comes naturally. It's not just like something that you just wake up one day and go, well, I'm going to be faithful for the rest of my life. It's something that you have to work on each and every day. Every day your shield's going to get tore up if you're doing the right things. It's going to get beat up. It's going to get battered. You're going to face every kind of thing, and at the end of the day, you're going to be weak and tired and wore out, and you're going to say, I can't do this another day. But you have to, and it's a pleasure to do, because we've got a world that's ready to tear us up. We have Satan who's ready to destroy us, devour us. We better be ready for tomorrow, if tomorrow comes. So if you haven't picked up the shield of faith, today is a really good time to do it. There's no better time than today. So if you haven't picked up your shield of faith, there's an opportunity to do that today. We have the waters of baptism ready. If you want to obey the Lord in baptism and pick up your shield of faith, please do so. Join us in that testudo formation. Lock in with us. Lock in with me. If you need me, you call me. All right? I promise you that. You call me. If you need something, I'll be there. I might not be perfect, but I'll be there for you. If you haven't taken on the shield of faith, do so. Know that you have brothers and sisters in Christ who love you so much. You might not feel it all the time. There might be times that we aggravate each other. We say things, do things, we're imperfect people. But we have each other's backs. Or we should. If you need the prayers of the church, as I said, maybe your shield's beat down, beat to pieces. Maybe you're left holding the handle and there's nothing left. And you need some strength to build it back up. We can pray with you and we can pray for you and we can help get you that shield of strength to build it back up. If there's one of any category, would you come forward as we stand?